Greetings, comrades, and welcome to the eastern border. It's been a while, but I'm about to go to Ukraine in a few days, so I have been preparing a lot. First of all, I'd like to say that yes, we are planning everything, and I'm really sorry, Sean. You're amazing, but I just overslept because of overworking. We will get you on, and we're going to figure this stuff out. However, as I was recording this episode, because again, the New York Times and everyone is like going with maybe the Ukrainian counteroffensive is going strong and everything. Well, they're making progress, okay? It's just that it's yet again this case of Western media overblowing things out of proportion. For one, throughout all this time of the Ukrainian counteroffensive, or should I say Ukrainian offensive, because it's not like counteroffensive comes at the heels of someone else's attack, but we only saw Wagner Group in there, so Ukrainian offensive is a better term. Well, basically, out of 12 brigades, only 4 were involved. And now more are getting involved. I mean, if you have 12 brigades of units, and then 4 of them are involved and 8 aren't, then maybe adding 1 or 2 of them to the whole thing doesn't mean that the main phase is under attack, like is undergoing anything. And secondly, yeah, that's weird. Everyone has been quoting the Bild for their sources that apparently German Bundeswehr people say that Ukrainians are wasting their Western training and everything because they're not using exactly the same tactics. They are splitting apart their units and everything, and that Ukrainians are wasting their basically military training or something, and therefore not achieving much success. Well, let me tell you, the Bild is nothing more than a tabloid. It's a blatant tabloid at that. It's the yellow press at its finest. And, yeah, look, if Ukrainians would be wasting their counterattack and would be doing something stupid, then I would know that way faster and way better than the Bild. And the fact that everyone is just quoting the Bild instead of me when it comes to this attack thing means just that you guys don't know your sources. The Bild is, out of all the German newspapers, not the one to be trusted. They would report about, I don't know, a Loch Ness Monster or whatever. And not in the way that, I don't know, actual research happens in this area. Just that they are a tabloid, blatant one of that, and everyone just keeps using them as a source. And I get comments about this too, sent to my email. Oh, but look at the German press. Yeah, what German press? It's not Der Spiegel. It's not Die Welt. It's Bild. Come on. Like, there are respectable German press, and then there's not that respectable German press. So you need to differentiate between these two. And how everyone keeps using this, including the New York Times and everything. Like, chill. Ukrainian counterattack is going as it's going. They are not stupid. They're not dumb just because they're Eastern European. They're working hard. They know what's up. They might lack equipment, and they're adapting things for their lack of stuff that it's been a Western failure to send them. They're not doing anything really bad. They are still in consultations with the West, and it's fine. Just that, just because the New York Times or Die Bild, or is it Die Bild? I think it's Die Bild. I just call them Bild because, all the German articles, I know some things about them, but not all of them. Just because some press thing tells you something doesn't mean it's true. I mean, I triple check everything because I am reliant on you guys to pay me my salaries. I don't live on advertisement that much. But yeah, these are the things that I just don't even want to talk about. Because, once again, random German tabloid gets more press than I do. And why? Well, because I am not German. Neither am I American. But it is what it is. So first and foremost, guys, chill. It's going fine. And when the counterattack starts and when it's going to go thoroughly greatly, I'll let you know. It's been going on for a while now. It's just that there's different strategies and different options for this. So if you keep getting panicky about what's going on, don't. It's fine. I'll tell you when it's not going to be fine. Trust me on that one, because I don't have any reason to lie about this. If Ukrainians are going to start doing very poorly to the point where we'll start to feel troubled, I'll let you know, and then I'll raise such an outrage and such a noise that we all together are going to get more stuff to Ukrainians to do what they need. Right now, they're mostly fine, and I'm about to go there. But that's not the only thing, because I have a couple of news for you today. And it's late, But I'd like to start with the thing that finally, I have my latest instructions for. Stay tuned and pro-government news outlets from Putin. I was already working on this episode when I got these things. Oh boy. And that's amazing because I have been missing them. It's not that hard to get them outside of Russia these days because everything's double-checked, but we have those things. The document outlines exactly what the Kremlin wants its propaganda media to tell Russians about the upcoming anniversary of the baptism of Rus, which is referring to the conversion of Kiev and Rus under Volodymyr the Great to Christianity in 988, which the country, Ukraine, celebrates on July 28th. Russia, by the way, celebrates it on the same date. And, hey, it's 4 a.m. right now on that date. And I'm glad I have this, so you get this before everyone else. The guide tells journalists to refer to the event as a key turning point in Russian history and point of formation of Russia's statehood. It also instructs them to emphasize that having a common faith is what allowed the East Slavic tribes to become unified people. The document devotes particular attention to the adversaries of Russia that purportedly fought against Orthodox Christianity in Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland. In particular, it says that they, quote, Polish kings planted Catholicism and Unionism on the occupied native Russian territories in order to fracture and subjugate the people. It's funny because less than a week ago, Putin made similar territorial claims about Poland at a meeting on the Russian Security Council. Quote, it was thanks to the Soviet Union, thanks to Stalin's position, that Poland received significant tracts of land in the West, land that belonged to Germany. It's true, the western territories of modern Poland were a gift from Stalin to the Poles. And, of course, just coming from me here, he chose, not to mention the fact that the Soviet Union invaded Poland together with Germany in 1939, and that they held a victory parade together there, and that they were allies at the time, and everything else tied to that stuff, and that, they literally were best buddies, but, the tiny things, it doesn't matter. Carrying on. Putin then said, did our friends in Warsaw forget about this? We will remind them. Yeah, you'll remind them the fact that you held a victory parade together and you were literally allied with Nazis, but again, they're just me. I like these stupid things called, truth and responsibility and all that nonsense, but I guess nobody cares there. The propaganda guide is even more aggressive on the subject of Ukraine. Its authors refer to the Ukrainian government as an apostate regime that's waging a war against the Ukrainian Orthodox Church in order to destroy the spiritual ties of brother nations. The document obviously does not mention the terrible shelling attack in Odessa last week that destroyed Ukraine's historic Transfiguration Cathedral, which is one of the most beautiful places, used to be at least, which is where I'm going to go with my buddies, and we're going to definitely include this in the documentary because that's a painful thing. And the church's eparchy even posted a thing on their website. And you know what? Last time I was in Odessa, everyone spoke Russian there. They were all Jewish, because those people from Odessa will understand me. You enter Odessa, you become Jewish instantly. It's fine. But they all spoke Russian. I'm pretty sure at this point I'll hear much more Ukrainian there. Odessa Mama has a special mood about this. And when they call Ukrainians the apostates and everything, while they literally destroyed one of the most beautiful churches around that I've ever seen, one of the most beautiful Orthodox churches around, and I'm a Lutheran, it hurts me. According to the guide, by the way, the only person who can rectify the situation facing Orthodox Christianity in Ukraine is, of course, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. The propaganda media are tasked with explaining to Russians that their president can be credited with, quote, restoring Russia's role as the protector of Orthodox faith. Quote, today our country is battling a new satanic regime. It's always Satanists, man. Always. The Kiev regime is deliberately destroying Orthodox Christianity on the territory of Ukraine, applying direct pressure against priests and seizing churches. The Nazi Satanists have entrenched themselves in the holy Russian city of Kiev, where Rus was baptized. Russia has come to the defense of the Orthodox faith and is crushing neo-Nazis who worship the occult ideas of Hitler and Bandera on the front. The document also credits Putin with supporting the rebirth of Orthodoxy and restoring the church in Russia. A source close to the Kremlin told that the guide's emphasis on Putin himself is not a coincidence, and that the Russian media will increasingly mention him by name in the coming months. This is apparently an important thing for the electoral campaign. Putin will be linked to every development, and so that his name is constantly being held. That's the stupid thing. If you're a Christian, because I'm a Lutheran, then the desecrators of holy sites are definitely not the Ukrainians, it's the Russians. And if you're not a Christian, then still, the church in Odessa was one of the biggest things, like most important things you could see in Odessa. I was there. I saw it, and it was amazing. And this is ISIS level of nonsense. And by the way, as I'm recording this at 4 a.m. my time, I'm pretty sure Russian media has already started writing something of these lines. If you hear anything like this from anyone coming out and today or day after that or like in the following week, then you know for sure where they got their instructions from. I'm really glad I got these. Because, by the way, after I finish this, I'm going to go to Mir Report and talk about these instructions and everything. Because I think that I like to point out the easy ways how you can like spot these people who are like paid by this. Meanwhile, at the same time, Russian lawmakers raised the nation's conscription age ceiling to 30 from 27, and they had previously thought, raised the early one from 18 to 21. And of course they did not. On Tuesday, the State Duma adopted both the second and third reading of legislation that will expand Russia's age range for conscription, not to be confused with mobilization, it's two different things, but still, conscription age for the regular guys, to men between the ages of 18 and 30, effective January 1st, 2024. Late last year, Mr. Shoigu, our best buddy, because Girkin's in prison, unfriend Girkin, best buddy Shoigu, announced a phased increase on the lower age limit for conscription from 18 to 21. State Duma deputies later abandoned the idea, however, arguing that Russia's serious demographic situation, which I have mentioned in previous episodes, means the military must cast a wider net to draw enough men into the armed forces. At the same time, lawmakers raised the upper age limit by 3 years immediately, even though Defense Committee Chairman Andrei Karapatlov said just a day earlier that the increase would be gradual, but it isn't. At the same time, they also made sure that something that even like Russia's lawmakers would disagree with, and they did, the fact that if you are 18 or something and you get conscripted, then you cannot even have legal aid at all. It's because now only your parents can represent you or you yourself. They basically denied legal help for these conscript dudes. You can't legally get away from this. Also, now you can't even leave the country as soon as the electronical thing plops into your office. It's like these bureaucrats just decided to strengthen all these nooses and ties and everything. By the way, one thing they didn't do is like there's this Gosduma deputy, Vladimir Milov, and he had an idea for a law that would make sure that it would be mandatory for women to get pregnant below women before the age of 24, they would be mandated to get pregnant, and then they would face fines each year after that, and they couldn't vote before they would have birthed a kid. I told you about demographic situations last time, right? Thankfully, this wasn't taken into account because Milov has taken upon the role of Zhirinovsky and just doing crazy things. But think about this horror. Think about this fact that you would be forcefully required by law to get pregnant by the age of 24. Not because you love someone, not because you want to raise a kid, but just because you are forced to. I mean, for one, I'm 33 right now, and I'm covering this war, going to go back to Ukraine, and I want to have kids one day. Both of my brothers have them. But I simply can imagine the fact that if I would have been forced by law to have kids, and I'm not a woman, I don't need to give birth to them, but still, I'm a man. But even for me, it's like horrific, and I do not have to give birth to them. This is just crazy, and such things are coming through the parliament. It's insanity. Meanwhile, at the same time, basically, another great thing happened. Chechnyas, our good old friend Ramzan Kadyrov's place, Interior Ministry has begun refusing to issue foreign passports, passports that basically allow people to travel abroad, to residents younger than 30 if the applicants are not accompanied by older relatives. The agency said in response to a complaint by lawyer Alexander Nemov that the policy is intended to ensure that the goals of a trip are not contrary to the interests of Russian Federation, according to the crisis group SKSOS. It's just insane. Have your dad and mom around to get your passport. It's totally insane. Meanwhile, for some good news, Ukrainian military says that they have taken the village of Staromayskoye in one of the main directions of the offensive in the south of the country. Vladimir Zelensky posted a video of Ukrainian service members' announcement on this Telegram channel. I'm going to go there. I'm going to try to at least. And it's going to be a bit difficult, but still. Hanna Meliar, Deputy Minister of Defense for Ukraine, confirmed that Staromaiskore, it's like Old May, as far as I get it, has been liberated. Quote, our defenders continue to protect the settlement now, she wrote on Telegram. The liberation of Staromaiskoye and neighboring Priutnoye, which is currently under Russian control, would allow Ukraine's armed forces to attack a nearby fortified area from 3 sides. This would obviously force Russian troops further south to a second line of defense. I hope this would happen because, for one, I simply cannot imagine how and why would someone want to live in the regime that's happening there. It's just stupid. I mean, forcing your people to do something like that is just weird. The good news, by the way, is the fact that right now the Z patriots are fighting each other so bad because on Solovyov TV, Vladimir Solovyov, the main propagandist guy, most people came out. There were like famous people coming out and speaking about how Girkin was evil and how all these, gatherings of money to the front lines. By the way, a median salary, median one. Median one is the one that 50% of the people receive less and 50% of the people receive more. The difference between average is that average is like all salaries taken together and just divided by the amount of people. Average salaries tend to be skewed to larger numbers because, a lot of very ultra-rich people in Russia. But, it's a thing. So median salary in Russia, up until this date, hasn't increased much from the last year. It's been basically remained the same. The difference is like €1 or some shit. But it's 40,000 rubles per month, which is about 401 euros, about $410 per month. That is how average Russian makes, and prices haven't been that up. So think about it. These guys don't make a lot of money. It's weird. And of course, I was instructed also to speak about Prigozhin's metal balls, but to be honest, I really don't believe that thing. Like, it was a common thing, a common practice in Soviet prisons to just do these things for sexual reasons, but I'd like some more confirmation. At this point, I've understood that I do not need to make shocking statements. I'm not into that stuff. I'm into making solid, grounded things that you can confirm and everything. But currently, Russia's going insane. Khodorkovsky's posting some nonsense. Z guys are just, yelling at each other because the guy in Solovyov's thing, they especially hate the fact that the Russians are gathering these zbory, these gatherings of money for the Russian army. But they're not really, doing this through the Ministry of Defense, which means that Ministry of Defense officials can't steal anything. So now they're going to try and prohibit that. And of course, Z patriots from the Girkin's camp, who's now arrested, by the way, are still up in arms, and it's all totally insane. Just pure madness. Then again, I like when these guys are killing each other. Special shout out, by the way, goes to Michael Naki. He hates my guts still. If you listen to this guy in Russian, then you know who he is. But he literally quoted 3 paragraphs of my latest article about Igor Girkin in yesterday's show about Girkin. However, didn't quote me because apparently I don't even know. He doesn't speak English, so he thinks, I guess, that he's angry at me for some reason and thinks that I'm some sort of pro-Russian person. But hey, at least I know he's reading my stuff in Foreign Policy magazine, which is great. But yeah, kind of weird. They're all hitting each other. Ukraine's moving slowly but purposefully. And Russia is just getting more scary by the hour and the day. Another thing on the Russian side. The Russian government has now just prohibited, by the way, registering into their sites any site with .ru domain name using a foreign email. Total control. Totalitarianism to its max. And one other thing. Because again, this started out as something and then it didn't. See, in St. Petersburg, they're holding this Russian/African Council in which many African countries have not arrived. However, I'm sorry for not being exactly informed because this is, like I said, 4:16 a.m. in the morning and I just need to have some sleep. But apparently they noticed that the press speaker for Biden administration is black. And I'm sorry if I sound terribly racist here at this point. I'm just going to quote what they said. It's just that she criticized Putin's involvement and everything. And it was just an important speech. And I just, listened to her as a Biden representative. But when in Solovyov Live, they started commenting on this. They mentioned this African/Russian convention, and they were like, oh, she's actually African. What is she doing against her own people? And someone said, well, she's moved to America and she's been born there. And someone says, oh, nonsense. She's still African, looks black to me. Just the very idea that, racism is now going on blatantly to the point where, I don't even know. It just hurts me because, for one, I've actually managed to see people and everything, and racism, I think, is the dumbest thing on the planet Earth. And it's happening in the Russian media, and no one cares. It's just that still, all these people who don't care will still continue to call Russian Nazis. But yeah, that's about it for today. Have to get my car on, and please, guys, one thank you to all of you guys who have supported me through PayPal and Patreon. Patreon is the Eastern Border / patreon.com/the Eastern Border. Sorry. There's also Discord links all over the place, like there, and on my Twitter, and on my Eastern Border page and everything. Thanks to you for donating to me via PayPal. Everything goes to Ukraine Fund. Had to get a new car, stuff going on, messed things up, but we're going to do some work. But yeah, I'm going to go to Ukraine very soon. Going to make it happen. It's going to be great. Just wanted to say thank you, and до свидания, товарищи. Things happening, going to be streams on Discord as well. And as always, remember, happiness is mandatory.